How many people are going to do their Spider-Noir videos in black and white? Most of them, probably, but it's got to be done. Nicolas Cage playing a live-action version of Spider-Man Noir after voicing him in Into the Spider-Verse, and it's set in 1930s New York, and he's fighting mobsters and gangsters. How could you not look forward to that? And thankfully, the show delivered a lot of its promises. The black and white noir detective elements, the aesthetics, the tones, probably my favourite aspect of the show overall. It just immediately differentiates it tonally from other superhero TV shows, films that have come out recently. It feels unique, it feels fresh, and as a fan of just noir detective stories, I was pulled in. I love that kind of style, and with the cinematography, the lighting, the camera work in here, bringing that to life, I couldn't have asked for more. The people making the show clearly love that tone, that style, that era of films, and they honour it really, really well. I, of course, watched the show in black and white. I tried watching one of the episodes in colour, but halfway through, I switched it back because the effect just wasn't there. You have to watch it in black and white to get that true noir flavour. And thankfully, Nicolas Cage actually commits and gives a really good performance as Ben Riley slash the Spider. I say thankfully because he could have easily have phoned this in. You know, it's Spider-Man and it's Marvel. Big paycheck regardless, but he doesn't do that. He actually locks in, and you can tell he cares about this character. He cares about presenting a compelling character and having him go through an arc over 8 episodes. It's his first leading role in a TV show, and he was explaining how the longer narrative gives more time to really develop a character truly over many hours. And you can tell that he was excited by that, and he actually gets to do that and do it effectively. There are a couple of times where Nick Cage does kind of lean into his eccentric Nick Cageisms, doing the Nick Cage isms, and it gets a bit over the top, but it never goes completely overboard. And the times when he does actually make sense for what's going on with the character in the story at that time, so it's all good. And throughout the show, Ben Riley has some great quips and one-liners that he dishes out to people, sometimes when he's fighting bad guys, sometimes when he's just sitting down and talking with people, and they just made it a little bit more awesome because it was Nick Cage who delivered them. And like I said, Ben Riley is a compelling character, and I grew to really care about him as the show progressed. You learn his backstory, you understand why he's so jaded and so down on his luck and so grizzled. You understand why he wants to leave the spider life behind. If there's one thing that all the Spider-Men have in common across the multiverse, it's heartbreak, loss, and tragedy, and Ben Riley is no different. The show's not perfect though. There are some times where the noir tones and the superhero tones didn't completely blend to a happy medium, kind of conflicted with each other. Only a couple times. A lot of the other times it blended fairly well, and I had to condition myself to the merging of the two kind of tones and genres because I had to keep reminding myself that fundamentally this is still a superhero show with a Spider-Man character. So of course, big shit's gonna happen. I just had to learn to accept the two things working side by side, but still sometimes it still conflicted. I ended up being okay with the tonal direction the show took, but I do wish that it was a little bit more serious, a little bit more gritty. Also, the villainous element to the show was a little bit hit and miss. I actually liked Sandman and Tombstone. They were actually kind of compelling characters with their backstories. You learn that they were prisoners of war and they were experimented on, and now they have these powers and they don't really want them, and they've kind of fallen into working for Silverman, the main villain. And I actually thought it was quite a cool take on those characters in a 1930s New York setting and different backstories, different characterizations. I actually enjoyed seeing that. And as far as Silverman goes, the main villain, played by Brendan Gleeson, he's the main mobster running New York City. Despite Brendan Gleeson's really good performance and some really good lines, he is quite a one-dimensional villain. He's your stereotypical 30s mobster who runs the city. The mayor's in his pocket, the chief of police is in his pocket, and he doesn't really do much. He spends a lot of time telling his goons and henchmen to remind the mayor who runs this city, remind the chief of police who runs this city. I wish Silverman felt a bit more intimidating and scarier as a character. It's that classic show don't tell thing, where a lot of the characters, Silverman himself, does a lot of talking about how scary he is and how he controls the city and you should be terrified of him. You just don't really see him do a lot of it. The main reason why Silverman is so memorable is because he's played by Brendan Gleeson, not because what the character is and what the character did in the show. There is another villain in here, another superpowered villain, and I actually thought it was Electro, like a 1930s noir version of Electro, but it turns out is a completely different character from the comics. He's basically Electro, he's got the exact same powers, he shoots electric and channels electricity and whatnot. Point is, this character got on my nerves. He was really over the top, The performance was really overcooked, super cartoony. This character, every time he was on screen, really annoyed me, and I just wish that they did not go that direction. I know that the whole point is the character's annoying everyone around him because they're saying he's constantly talking, but I just did not like the take on that character. It irritated me. In the end, though, Spider-Noir was a fun show. Nicolas Cage commits. Ben Reilly slash the Spider is a compelling new alternate universe version of Spider-Man, is a fresh interpretation of a Spider-Man character, and the overall setting, tone, and aesthetics provide a fresh Spider-Man story in general with a 1930s setting, the noir tones, etc. I do wish they took the noir stuff a little bit further in some places, and as a whole, I wish the show was a little bit grittier and a little bit more serious. But in the end, you hear Nicolas Cage was coming back and playing a live action version of Spider-Man Noir. The show gives you what you want when you hear that that's happening. And again, it's fun, it's entertaining, and I'd like to see more from this universe and this version of Spider-Man.